What is going on, everybody? It's another Monday night. You know what that means. It's time for Monday Night Rants. Yeah. And this time we're doing it a little different. Just a little different. We are live to not just the Rant Squad and the Monday Night Rants page, but now we have added the FA Nation. That is right. We are live on Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, and YouTube, and even on fantasyalarm.com right now to everybody. So welcome to Monday Night Rants FA Nation. It is a pleasure. I cannot wait to share my Monday nights with everyone from now going into the football season, through the football season. The first thing you hear after the Monday night game should be us. Why? Because we're going to break it down, and we're going to have some fun doing it. The first thing after all the weekend of football is over, we are here to break it all down and give you the best analysis and fantasy advice, I think, in the world. But then again, I'm a little biased. But hey, welcome everyone. I am Edward Rouse. Twitter at Edward Rouse if you have not met me. I've been a part of Fantasy Alarm for a few years now. And I brought on the show. It's a nice primetime show for everyone to enjoy after dinner and after sports. So we talk about what's going on in the news. I rant an awful lot. I have a lot to say about, certain things. If you listen back, you can hear me talk about LeBron James and what I call his retirement plan in LA. I had a lot to say about Le'Veon Bell last week and why I think he's a child. Yes, I said it. Le'Veon Bell is a child. Great football player on the field. A child off the field. You have to listen back to catch up on that one. But we're also going to break down fantasy. We're going to do mock drafts. We have our own personal league that we're accepting people into. If you want to play with me and some of the experts here, it's the Monday Night Rants League. Just send me a direct message and come on in. We're going to do a live draft. We'll do it live on all the channels on August 17th. It is going to be a blast. Because I am going to absolutely chew everyone out for their picks, because that's what I do. It'll be fun. And it's a money league, and the winner gets a trophy, bragging rights, and you get to be on the show with me. And like I said before, it's going to be really awkward when I'm interviewing myself. Let me take some of that air out of my head real quick. And but tonight, too, it's an honor. We're going to have Rick Wolf with me in a little bit. He's a Fantasy Sports Hall of Famer and overall just good guy. He has seen fantasy grow from nothing to what it is now. He's been around the industry forever, and it's my pleasure to have him on in a little bit. I want to talk about Manny Machado real quick and some of the trades, and then we'll get him on, and we have a lot to talk about. And I'm going to put him through the Rants Gauntlet. Yes, the Gauntlet. 10 questions. He doesn't know what they are yet. If they're hard or easy, but he has to answer them. And you never know. I could be a little hard on him. We'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, if you are new to the show, which a lot of you are tonight, the Los Angeles Dodgers and I have a love-hate relationship this year. At the beginning of the season, when the injury to Seager and Turner and the pitching was absolutely terrible, I made a bet. I said, if the Dodgers win, because I was confident they were going to win the division. I said, there's no way. Not with the pitching, not with the injuries. Of course, I didn't expect them to, pick one of the best perennial all-star, maybe of our generation, in Manny Machado, but that was back then. If they won the division, I had to wear what my viewers called an ass clown outfit. Not sure what that entails. One of my co-host Anthony Zaragoza is currently putting that together right now because he thinks that the Dodgers are going to win, and he cannot wait to see me do a whole hour show on Monday night in an ass clown outfit. And I'm going to do it. I stick to my word. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the Dodgers, of course, they traded for Manny Machado during the All-Star break. He left Baltimore Oriole and then went straight to Los Angeles. The same with Brad Hand, by the way. He left a Padre, and now he's with the Indians. The Dodgers gave up an awful lot for, a 2-month rental maybe of Manny Machado, because he's going to get the big money in the offseason and probably go to the, let's be real, the AL East or somewhere, like the Yankees, because that's what they do. So they're putting all their hands into the basket as you would to try to go back to the World Series and play whichever team makes it out of the loaded AL, because the AL is absolutely loaded this year. I mean, I don't see a team in the NL that can keep up with the likes of the Indians, the Astros, the Yankees, or the Red Sox. What team in the NL can beat them right now? It's going to be tough. So, but kudos to the Dodgers and kudos to the Indians for getting some help in that bullpen too. Brad Hand is a great addition. As a Padres fan, as you know, I had to endure him for a few years. He always gets a ton of saves, and he'll blow a lot of saves too. That lefty arm in the bullpen as a closer is never the best thing in the world. So, Padres got Francisco Mejia in that trade, which I like. Young prospect from the Indians. He's a catching prospect. Not as good as catcher as Austin Hedges, but he's going to hit. The guy can hit. So, and that's what the Padres need. They can never seem to find anyone that can hit. And it's not just a stadium, people. It's not just a stadium. They just can't find someone that can hit. So hopefully he does, and the loaded farm system. So, real quick, Tim Tebow watch. It looks like his call up to the Mets to fill seats will be delayed a little bit because I think he went out with an injury. I think he broke his hand or something. So Tim Tebow, it looks, will not make it this year to the Mets. Oh, poor Tebow. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's bring in Rick Wolf. Let's bring in the man, the legend himself. Maybe he'll give us a howl or two, if we're lucky. But joining me now from Colton and the Wolf Man, which you could hear on Sirius XM on Tuesday nights, please welcome Rick Wolf. Hey, Rick, what's going on? Yes.
There you go.
There's the howl. I was looking for that. What a way to start it. That's what what else? Man, that's perfect. Well, welcome to Monday Night Rants. Your first time on. Was first time caller, long time listener, I hope.
Oh yeah.
Real quick before we start talking about football, I want to know what your thoughts are on the Manny Machado trade. Real quick, I know you have your hand in baseball a lot. Do you think there's a chance that it's more than just a 2-month rental, or is it just a 2-month rental for the Dodgers?
Well, only in keeper leagues does it matter. So for me, if you're in a national league and Manny Machado came over, he was the darling. Everybody bid all their fab money on him, and now they're going to reap the rewards of that. That lineup looks really good with him in the middle of it, and so to espouse on whether or not he's going to be a 2-month rental or not, I don't think matters unless you're in a keeper league and happen to already have him. So it's a very small population of people who need to figure that answer out. Mm-hmm. So that's my political way of dodging that, because I don't have enough information in order to be able to make a rational decision on that, or to give any insights to your listeners. So rather than do that, I just dodged the whole thing.
Sorry, I tried to throw you a curveball there. Yeah, no, that's why I don't like the AL, NL only leagues, because imagine if you had Manny Machado in an AL only league and you had Brad Hand as your number one closer in an NL league. You just got completely dusted.
Yeah, and the thing is, I play in an AL only league where you actually lose the players when they switch leagues. So somebody actually lost Manny Machado just now, and I think that's the archaic league. It's 23 years old. 23 years old, yeah. And so it's a Sportsline league with all people from CBS Sportsline back in the day, and they're all different places now. Kenny Gersh is the VP of Business Development for MLB, and Alex Reith Miller's with NFL, and all these guys play in our league still. So it's very interesting. Those guys are very good people, but they have very dumb rules.
Yeah. So your first round pick halfway through the season pretty much just goes poof. I'm gone.
It is gone.
Yeah, man, that's terrible.
And it's a keeper league, but you only keep 3. So I always think that's weird. Like 3 just seems like a weird number. Like if you have 23 players, you should keep at least a third of them. So I think 7 or 8 is the right number for normal keeper leagues, but we keep 3. So generally every year I'm trying to trade one of my keepers away to somebody else, and I generally make a 2-for-1 trade at some point with somebody who only has one good keeper, because I always have 4 or 5. So it's kind of
a smart move.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, when you hit the waiver wire as often as I do, you always end up with a gem at some point. So
yeah, I noticed that in our league. We're in the Fantasy Alarm baseball league going head to head for that first place spot right now. And I notice you have a lot more pickups than I do. I'm really not so Mr. Waiver Wire. I like to stick by my guns, as you would. Most of the time it pays off, but sometimes, it doesn't. I tend to hold on to guys longer than I should, especially in baseball.
Yeah, I honestly just change them out every time for matchups. So if I'm playing somebody who has, I'm going to need to have saves in order to beat, I will drop 3 pitchers and pick up 3 guys who have a chance at saves, and I'll go after that category. And generally not a lot of hitters because there aren't as many
it's tough.
like hitters available. But I do that with steals sometimes. Like I see a guy who might have a few more steals than me, so I grab a one-trick pony like a Janikowski or a Cameron Maven, and I put them on my roster for that week in order to get the couple extra steals.
And it cringes me to just roster Cameron Maven.
Yeah,
jeez.
Yeah, but five steals in the last 14 games. So
yeah, I know, but still, just the name is scary. But especially as a Padre fan, that one hurts.
There you go.
So let's get into football then. Well, let's get into you real quick. Let's tell people. I know a lot of people on the Fantasy Alarm side tonight know a lot about you, but a lot of my listeners from the Rant Squad, as you would, may not know a lot about you, and we're introducing them to the whole Fantasy Alarm experience. So just a little bit, let's not go on for an hour, but maybe like 5 minutes on your background and what you've accomplished and what you've seen over the years as fantasy sports has grown.
Yeah, I think that's probably more what I've seen. It's I'm the Forrest Gump of the fantasy sports industry. I'm in the right room at the right time. Like I feel like I was standing next to Kennedy when live scoring was invented. I was standing in the right rooms all the time. Didn't invent many or if any of these things, but the first commissioner, the first live scoring, the first sortable stats. All of those things happened in rooms where I was there, and somebody said, "Hey, can we try this?" And I said, "Sure." So, that's real good. All the way back from IBM in the early '80s.
Wow.
CBS in the '90s, NBC, Roto World in the 2000s. So, and Fantasy Alarm in the 2010s. So just a lucky journey in a lot of ways to be in the right place at the right time. Always buy the drinks. That's the
is that the key?
Yeah, if you're buying the drinks, then people tend to give you a pass on everything else. So every time I'm in a room, I just make sure that the check comes to me, and every penny that I spend always comes back as a nickel.
Well, there you go, listeners. There's a life lesson for you. Always buy the drinks. In every situation, that probably works.
Secret to my career. Yeah. Buy the drinks.
And probably dating career too, I'd imagine.
Yes. You look like me. Yeah.
I love it. One thing too, right now on the Fantasy Alarm website, the draft guide, which has been released, that we've been talking really highly on, and it really is state of the art and awesome. One thing I read about, and you've been talking about for a while, and you and Glenn Colton came up with, is the SMART system. Now, we don't want to give away the system here because this is a free show. But let's talk about it just a little bit. And you know what? Maybe we'll go into the whole thing. I'm just messing with people. But what exactly is the SMART system, and how has it been so successful over the years?
All right. So in late 2001, I was belly aching to Glenn Colton about the fact that I had been in labor for 4 years. And I don't mean like 9 months. I mean like 4 years. And the League of Alternative Baseball Reality from USA Today. And I had actually, from CBS, I had bought a spot in it. I paid $150,000 in order to own a sponsorship of everything fantasy for USA Today, which included a spot in labor. So I played in the first one and lost and finished dead last. And then I really, really tried to win after that. And I had a fifth and a second and a third. And I was talking to Glenn. I'm like, how am I going to win? He goes, add me. Right? So I added Glenn. We set up a set of rules that we played by. And we won in 2002, and then we won again in 2003. So we went back to back. And then we were joking about the fact that Ron Chandler had his Lima system. And we said, everybody has an acronym now. We got to make one. Why don't we make dumbass? And so we tried to figure out how to make that. It didn't really work. So we ended up making the SMART system, which was scarcity management, anchor, relief, and team. for baseball.
The opposite of dumbass, if you would. The smart.
Yes, and we were really making fun of all the people who think they're too smart in the world. And I'm not saying Ron Chandler says that. Ron Chandler's he's the nicest guy and probably the smartest guy in the industry. But there were a lot of other people who thought they were all that, and we were kind of making fun of them for making up systems by making up an acronym. So then when we came into the 2007 season, because we played fantasy football, we didn't play any expert leagues. We didn't start playing in the expert leagues in FSTA until 2007. I jokingly said to Glenn, well, we need a smart system for that. He goes, well, we have rules. Let's just write those down. So then we wrote those down, and there's no scarcity. It's system for the team system, management for your draft and for in-season. It's age, because age is incredibly important in football, especially for running backs.
Yep.
And then it's reserve, because we didn't have handcuffs then.
Oh, yeah, yes.
In 2007, handcuff was not a popular term. And then talent, which is much more important. Talent you can figure out in baseball. It's easy to see. But a lot of times a guy will be third on the depth chart, but the most talented guy. And drafting him ends up with you having the right running back or wide receiver in weeks 14, 15, 16. So that then is the smart system for football.
So do you just pick certain players that you like to go in each category as you would, and the SMART, and then when you're drafting, if they check all the boxes, those are the guys that you like the most out of those, correct? Is that how that would play out?
Not really. I mean, when you look at the different metrics for it, maybe the most important one is management, because managing your draft has certain rules associated with it, and specifically to make sure that you dominate running backs. And if there's a flex position, make sure you get 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds. That's one of the very, very important rules, one of the anchors of the smart system, if you will. So, and that's just sheer numbers. There are generally 2 to 3 wide receivers on every team. So if you take 32 and you multiply it by 2.5, you get a pretty big number.
Yeah.
And there are generally about 20, maybe 18. We counted them on the show the other day, and Glenn is a little discerning, so there were 13. There are like 13 backs that own their backfield, right? And so make sure you get 2 to 3 of those. And if you can get 3 of those, get 3 of those. Because just the simple math of that makes the whole thing work. So That's what it all surrounds.
See, my system is just believe in myself and draft what I feel is right after all my research. So it seems to work, but this system I was really intrigued by it when I was reading the article. And by the way, you can read the Smart System article and find out more on fantasyalarm.com right now. If you go to fantasyalarm/draft now, you can get the draft guide and read it live and catch up with the what Rick and Colton are doing, because apparently they're way ahead of us as far as systems go, and you can also win as well. So I like this smart system. I really
the key here, Edward, and it's going to sound crazy, but you do probably 10 times more research than I do, and that's why you know all these players and you know them inside and out, and you probably know running back tendencies. Oh, he's got a right tendency.
Correct.
And he's playing against a linebacker who has a left tendency, so I know he's going to burn him.
Don't give away my secrets now.
We don't know any of that crap. Not that it's crap. We don't know any of that stuff. What we do know is that we can eliminate half of the players in baseball, and more than half of the players in football by having a set of rules that we can eliminate them with. Then we can only study maybe 25 or 30% of the whole volume of players, and those are the only players that we need to know.
So you're not studying Traquan Smith like I am. Is that what you're saying?
Who?
Exactly.
Who?
Traquan Smith. He is he is going to be the number 2 receiver in New Orleans by the time I'm over this year. Put it on the board. Put it on the board. I'm telling you.
Nice.
I actually mentioned him on your show. Actually, he's my deep sleeper. I'm taking him last in a lot of my drafts and my
Nice.
best ball. I'm picking him up because he's gonna burn some people, and they always do that. For some reason, the Saints always pull receivers out of nowhere that you've never heard of. And I watched him in college, like I said, and he is just a beast. So I think he's a good pickup. Traquan Smith, you heard it on Monday Night Rants. Pick him up, and you can thank me later. So let's go into the gauntlet. What the gauntlet is a series of like 10 questions that I ask. Hard. Some are easy. Some are funny, I guess. And we just kind of go through and see, where you stand on what's going on in the football season this year. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and you could answer honestly. If you don't like the question, you could tell me to F off. I don't care. It is Monday Night Rants, where anything can happen. So let's start. You ready?
Yeah, I'll go this far. I have to answer all of them because Craig Mish told me that if you're on radio or you're broadcasting and someone asks you a question, you can't dodge it. You have to give it an answer.
Oh, I may just add 2 more. You shouldn't have told me that. You just set yourself up.
Yeah, I will answer.
Okay, here you go. They're not that hard. They're harder than you. They're easier than I make them out to be, I guess, in a way. This year, it's the year of the running back, right? Obviously, there's as many as 8 running backs going in the first round in most leagues. But I want to know about running backs that aren't in the first round, the big names you don't hear. So it could be a rookie, it could be someone that's, behind someone that could break out, like a Royce Freeman or someone. But what running back are you the highest on this year that isn't a first round pick?
Jerick McKinnon.
Ooh, see, I am not on him, but I'll tell you why I'm not. But tell me why you are on Jerick McKinnon.
Because he's a handsome man. No, it's a Shanahan system. It's the S in SMART.
Mm-hmm.
The S in SMART stands for system, and Shanahan knows how to use running backs. And this guy has immense talent. Never been used properly. He's going to get a chance to get the ball handed off to him, but more importantly, he's going to get the ball in space. Mm-hmm. And Garoppolo's a winner, and McKinnon is going to be a winner this year.
Okay. So if you pick up, you get a Gurley, let's say you have the first pick, which I think is the worst place you could possibly be this year. I like the back of the draft myself. You can pick up 2 running backs right off the bat. Would you think Jerick McKinnon in the second round right there at the last pick of the second round would be a great 1-2 there with Gurley or a Bell?
Yeah, I'm in a best ball on RT Sports right now, and that's what the Brian Scale did.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing in there. Le'Veon Bell and then Jerick McKinnon back-to-back, and then your man Devontae Adams with the 3rd pick.
Yeah, that's my man. By the way, you can see my player profile video on Devontae Adams on Fantasy Alarm. I had fun with that one. I really did. I like any chance I can make fun of Jimmy Graham is always fun. So check that out on fantasyalarm.com. So McKinnon, yeah, I am not as high as people are on McKinnon. I know he has talent, but he's gotten the chance before. I know it was at Minnesota, but when Peterson's gone down, or last year, he isn't as consistent as a running back as I would like. But you're right, he is in a better system, and if Garoppolo's a winner, that means they're going to be leading a lot of games. And if they're leading a lot of games, they need to hand the ball off to somebody, and it's not going to be Breida. So I think McKinnon is a good option there, maybe in the late second round or third. So you kind of sold me on him a little bit. So there you go. There you go. I'm higher on him than I was.
Remember, only 13. I think there are more like 16 or 17. Guys who are definitely going to dominate the carries in their backfield.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think McKinnon is certainly one of them. Another guy that I like who's going a little bit later is Kenyon Drake.
Ooh.
I'm not worried about Frank Gore, and I think Kenyon Drake's gonna carry all the water.
You're not worried about the rookie from Arizona State there? Can't think of his name right now. Burridge or Burridge? Yeah, okay. All right. I get it. That's a smart system. I know about him. You don't. And that's why you'll probably beat me this year in the league. So
at this point, we don't know. But remember, when you draft three running backs out of 4 in the first 4 rounds, you only need to get 2 of them right.
That's true. That's a good point.
Okay, so the reason that you draft 3 is to make sure that you get 2 right. And I'm confident enough in it that Kenyon Drake will be right. If I'm not right, then I probably have, or maybe if I have done this perfectly, I have Zeke Elliott, Jerick McKinnon, and Kenyon Drake, which would be my 1-2-3 perfect 1-2-3.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you did there. So you're not really high on the rookies.
In the 4th spot, 3rd or 4th draft spot.
So you're not high on the rookie running backs as much then this year.
Not in general. I mean, Saquon Barkley, everybody's high on. But honestly, I live in New York, and I've been watching this giant offense. And the last great running back I can remember, everybody says Tiki Barber, right? But last one I remember, Otis Anderson. I'm sorry. Like there just haven't been any decent running backs in who are dominating running backs.
And I have a feeling that team's going to be playing from behind a lot this year. A lot.
Mm.
So, Barkley, and how about the guaranteed contract for a rookie? That is crazy. But 4 years guaranteed plus a huge signing bonus. Like, I think that came out this morning. That is, the NFL's getting crazy with their money. That's for sure. But
yeah, and guys haven't taken hits from guys who run, 4.40s and are weigh 310. I mean, they in college they're not taking those hits. Now the best of the best are playing defense, and somewhere between 270 pounds and 310 pounds, and they run a 4.5, 4.6, 40.
Yeah.
Mass times velocity squared is pretty bad force on these running backs.
Whew, yep, I'm not high on him, especially as a first round pick. I am staying away from Barkley. Really, even if he's up and he's the best available on my board, I may go somewhere else in that first round because I just don't want to take the chance.
I think you have to take him if you get to 9 or 10. Right.
I'd rather have Melvin Gordon. I'd rather have Melvin Gordon over Barkley.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. But if you're that late, you probably get them both. Right.
Well, in one league, I was the back end. I got Gordon and Fournette.
I like that better than Fournette and Cook, which is that's the one I've seen on the wheel like 20 times.
Yeah, I've seen that one too, but I got lucky.
Only because Cook is exactly what I was talking about Barkley. He's getting hit by 300-pound guys going too fast, and he got hurt.
Yeah. Well, going into the second question here, it kind of makes me feel a little like you're not going to be on my side here. Earlier in the show, Anthony Zaragoza, who's on the show with me, he's actually out of town today. He's enjoying Legoland with his family. So, hi, Anthony. I put a bet on that Sonny Michel would have more points PPR league than Jay Ajayi this year. He had Jay Ajayi. I have Sonny Michel. The loser has to wear. He's a Raiders fan. I'm a Chargers fan. The loser has to wear the other person's jersey and put it as their profile pic on all social media for a week.
Okay.
So I have Sonny Michel. I'm really high on Sonny Michel. I think there's a reason why they drafted him in the first round, and I think even with the injury, or not the injury, but the suspension to Edelman, I think that he's going to be the most beneficial from it, really. And I think Jay Ajayi does not score touchdowns. He just doesn't. He had one or two the entire time he was on the Philadelphia Eagles squad last year. So I like Sonny Michel in a PPR league to have more points than Jay Ajayi. Whose side are you on?
All right. I said before. Can I say neither?
You got to pick one. You got to answer the question, Rick. That's the rules.
All right. I'm not sure about Ajayi, and no one is ever sure about any Belichick running back. But I would take Sonny Michel also. I think there are too many mouths to feed over there, and I actually think Corey Clement's going to be really good in third down time. So I think Ajayi's going to lose some of that third down work.
Rick, I really think you just made Anthony cry right now. I really do.
I'm wrong so often.
He is all about Jay Ajayi. So I'm sure next week when he's on, we're going to have a lot to talk about that. So that's fun. Sonny Michel it is. All right.
Eagle fan? Is he a front runner? Is he
No, he's a Raiders fan. He just thinks he's going to be the guy in Philadelphia, and that Corey Clement's kind of a receiving back only, and that Jay Ajayi is going to get all the carries. And I could see that happening, playing out maybe, but I like Sonny Michel in PPR league. I just think he's the guy. There's a reason why they went up and put number one pick on him, because they need that guy, and so they're not shuffling so much. So I like Sonny Michel better. All right, number 3. I want somebody that nobody is drafting, that's not on a draft board, which is going to be tough for you because of your smart system.
Yeah.
But
I'm in my 18th best ball draft, so I have been through a number, and I generally pick a couple guys at the bottom. So I have a running back and a wide receiver who I'm drafting with my last 2 picks pretty much all the time.
Okay.
Naheem Hines.
Okay. From
a lot of
from
people.
the Colts.
A lot of people think he's 3rd on the depth chart because there's a rookie who I probably don't know that guy's name either. And then there's Marlon Mack. And then I really like Anthony Miller. I just like the skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's going on over there. I like what Trubisky's going on. I like the new offensive coordinator. I think there's a new coach. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. And I have a feeling they're going to need somebody to go to. And I've seen the Allen Robinson show for years and years and years. And everybody gets all hyped up about him. Everybody gets all pumped up. Everybody gets all excited. I know Tariq Cohen's going to get the ball more often. and I think Anthony Miller is also going to get the ball a lot.
Yeah, there's suddenly a lot of hands to or mouths to feed there in Chicago, isn't there? With the addition of Burton as well.
Yeah, Burton's going to have a huge year too.
Yeah,
I'm getting him. I'm getting him in almost all drafts. In this best ball that I'm in right now, I'm in the 16th round, and I took Burton in the 10th, and then Delaney Walker in the 11th.
Oh
So,
wow,
go figure. Yeah,
that's crazy.
two tight ends back to back, and in the 8th and 9th it was Cam Newton and Drew Brees.
Oh, that's perfect that you mentioned Cam Newton because that's my number 4 question. Is it Cam Newton? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Well, duh, drafted him. So, but I mean, is it thumbs up if I drafted him in the 8th round?
I guess. I mean,
guess.
who'd you draft him higher than? Did you draft him higher than, let's say, Phillip Rivers?
I drafted him higher than Andrew Luck and Kirk Cousins and Ben Roethlisberger and Matthew Stafford.
The only one there I would say would be higher
Drew Brees.
Is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins I'm high on, maybe than Cam Newton. The other ones I would draft Cam Newton ahead of. Mm-hmm. So why you like Cam Newton this year?
Well, this is a best ball. So
okay. Well, then that's why you like it.
I like the upside of 5 weeks. And the other weeks don't matter as much.
Yeah.
So and I'll probably get a third quarterback before I get to the end, maybe even Trubisky, because he's the kind of guy I can get in the third to last round. And then I can take Miller and Hines.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and Bortles is still there too. Another guy who is a best ball kind of guy because he'll throw for definitely 5 touchdowns and then throw for 0 touchdowns 4 weeks in a row.
Yep. And that's the Leonard Fournette show on those 4 weeks too. So
yeah. So it depends on who you're playing against too. So, and every schedule has soft teams, and every schedule is going to have a guy like Cam Newton who's going to run a couple in, or get hit in the side of the helmet by somebody and get pissed off and act like the superstar that he is.
Yeah.
He's like Rocky. He needs to get beat up a little bit.
He does, doesn't he? He needs to have like some sort of minor injury to play better. It's really crazy.
And someone to mess him up, and then he runs for touchdowns.
There you go. So defenses just know that if you hurt him, he'll play better. So there you go.
Yeah, don't hurt him.
Yeah, don't hurt him. This one's kind of funny because everyone has these random fantasy football team names that they try to make puns off their players. Like Hell's Bells and stuff like that. Like I'm a man, not a girly. Stuff like that. I want to know what's the best fantasy team name you've ever seen that you've had or in like one of your leagues.
Well, when Goff first, I'm a Rams fan. When Goff first got drafted, I made my team jagging Goff to girly pictures. So there you go.
I've never heard that one before. Did you have both of them on your team too?
Yes.
That is great. That is great. I don't even think I have
my team. Yeah.
Here's my field. There you go. That's for jacking Goff to girly pictures. I love it.
Yeah. And because I'm from the Beavis and Butthead era, my favorite baseball name was TP for your Buckholz.
Oh my God, that one's so good too. If only Buckholz was better and still around to actually. Yeah. That's funny.
So there you go.
Okay, that's great. Real quick, I gotta do a live read before we do the next 5. Do you mind hanging out with me for one more minute while I do a live read real quick?
Will do.
All right. You're part of Fantasy Alarm, so you're gonna enjoy it. Hey Rick, do you like fantasy football?
I do.
I would have never guessed. Well, FantasyAlarm.com is the #1 source of champions for everything you need for your whole NFL season. And it all starts with the draft. And the draft guide is live. And just for listening to this show or just because you're awesome, get 50% off instantly if you go right now to FantasyAlarm.com/draft now on me. That's right. The boldest predictions, the most dominating strategies, accurate player rankings, player profile videos from Brandon Marianne and myself. That's right. And Howard Bender brings it on all the articles and strategies, everything you need to win. You'll go to that draft and you will make your competition your bitch. That is right. Only with the Fantasy Alarm Draft Guide. 50% off instantly at FantasyAlarm.com/draft now. Oh, I love doing those live reads. I just like to say your bitch.
No, I was just thinking we should make FantasyAlarm.com/bitch, and we should make promo code bitch.
Yeah.
And then we should give 60% off.
Let's do it. I'm so I think the rest of the crew may not agree with us, but I agree that we should have a fantasyalarm.com/bitch.
Yeah,
Promo code bitch.
Tomorrow.
Let's do it. Yeah. We have nothing else to do. We might as well make funny promo codes and see if they go anywhere. Maybe it'll go viral.
That's the best thing. Look, if you're going to work 20 hours a day, you may as well have fun.
Exactly, which is why I love my job. I get to work in fantasy, work in sports, and I get to talk for an hour every Monday night about sports. What can go wrong with that? So while we're talking during that, Anthony just actually text messaged me. He's listening from San Diego and said #Ajayi for life. So he's still on the Ajayi bandwagon, which he's the only one. He's driving the bandwagon, and nobody is in the car with him. So
make him. You have to get a henna tattoo of Ajayi if you lose, and he has to get a henna tattoo of Sony Michel if you lose. There you go.
Wow.
That only lasts 3 months.
Stop giving him ideas, Rick.
Nice on your bicep there, and 3 months.
I'll do it too.
About a butt cheek. I'm talking about right on the bicep. That's fine, or a shoulder.
Nice. So when I flex, so when he flexes, all he sees is Sonny Michel's face.
Muscle Beach is that way.
That's it. That's it. Oh man, well, let's get back to it. We have 5 more questions left in the Rants Gauntlet. By the way, Rick, if you want to, you can feel free to join the Monday Night Rants League if you'd like to. The draft is on August 17th. It's going to be a 12 to 14 person, and one of our biggest fans, one of our biggest Rant Squad followers, Justin Watson, he is trying to do side bets already, so he's having fun with it. So he just said who's gonna accept my fantasy challenge in the chat there. So he's having a good time with it. So let's move on. Number. Yeah, exactly. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. He's gonna buy me a new TV this year.
Nice.
Number 6. This one's kind of fun. You've played in a lot of auction leagues. What's the most money you've ever spent on a player in an auction league, and who was it?
In baseball or football?
Football. We're talking football.
In football, I spent $72 on Marshall Faulk one year.
Oh, Jesus. What was the total budget on that?
300. Out of 300.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, the bidding kept going, and I was a Rams fan, and he was the greatest show on turf. He was clearly the greatest running back at the time, and I just kept bidding until I owned him.
Now, did he have a $72 year though?
I don't know. I mean, he had a dominating year, and I won the league. So.
Oh, there you go. Well, then it doesn't matter. There you go. All right, so it was worth it. Marshall Faulk. I remember. So you were the Marshall Faulk era. When I started playing, it was the LaDainian Tomlinson era. No, it was actually before that. It was the Terrell Davis era. Mine was Terrell Davis.
I was the Emmitt Smith era.
Yeah.
I started playing in '91.
Yeah, mine was Terrell Davis. My first year, Terrell Davis was like the best running back, and then when I really, really got going, it was LaDainian Tomlinson and all that good stuff. And now it's changed a lot, that's for sure. So
more than one now. There's like 3 to 4.
Exactly. Like there's not a huge gap between 1 and like 3 now. Where before it was like if you got that first pick and you got the Sean Alexander, you got the LaDainian Tomlinson, you're solid. And then the number 2 would be way below it. But at least Zeke versus David Johnson versus Bell versus Gurley isn't that far off really if you look at it. So a lot has changed. Number 7 is which we may have even talked about this, but which player in the first round, I would say like a 12-person league, are you the lowest on?
Well, I'm low on all the wide receivers because I want to pick all running backs. Mm-hmm. But I would tell you the guy that I've seen go in the first round that I think shouldn't be in the first round is Odell Beckham.
Ooh, I like it. Please tell me more.
I mean, I've just seen the show before, and the show can be hot and cold, and hot and cold isn't the way you win fantasy leagues. You need to, a guy like Julio Jones, always gives you, something every week. Mm-hmm. A guy like Keenan Allen, a guy like Antonio Brown, always gives you something. DeAndre Hopkins always gives you something. Sometimes Odell Beckham shows up, scores 2 touchdowns, and then the next week, I got a little toe injury in the first quarter, and I'm gonna go crying. I'm gonna Eli, give me some tissue. No, I mean it just, he just loses his mind sometimes, and I don't think he just is not on he won't ever be on any of my teams.
I am with you. He's one of those guys, and I talked about this show that I cross off. Like I want nothing to do with. So if they're even available, they're not on my list. I don't draft them, and he's actually one of them. I do not like having Odell on my team because you always have to worry. And by the way, that was the best Odell Beckham impression I've ever heard in my life. Number one right there. So there you go. Yeah, that was good. I'm gonna get air horn for that. There you go. Here, hold on. I got something for you. Do the Odell impression again.
Odell, Eli, give me some tissue.
Okay. Odell Beckham, everyone. Thanks for joining the show.
I'm gonna get hate mail on that one.
Oh, please. This is Monday Night Rants where anything's possible. Plus, it's what? It's 9:41 West Coast. It's really Tuesday morning rants in the East Coast. So it doesn't matter. It's a lot of fun here. Okay, here we go. Moving on in the gauntlet. We have a few more left, and then we'll probably be done and call it a night here. All right, real quick. Switching teams. Brandon Cooks or Sammy Watkins? Who you hire on?
Duh. I mean, Brandon Cooks.
Okay.
Have you listened to McVay talk about how fast he is? Like every day after practice. Every
they love him.
day. It's like gross, actually. He comes off the field and he's like, good practice today. He goes, that Brandon Cooks is fast.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the second thing he says every day. And so they're just going to find a way to get him the ball deep. And
I'm with you.
He's going to catch some of them. He's not going to catch some of them. But they're going to throw the ball.
True.
Seriously, Goff is going to hurl back and throw it as far as he can. And McVay thinks that Cooks can catch up to it because he thinks he's that fast. So I think it's Brandon Cooks by a lot. Sammy Watkins, very, very talented, new system in Kansas City, and just worried about getting used to all of that. He's had many teams over the last handful of years, and I just don't think he can get used to it. So.
Yes. Sammy Watkins never seems to find a good rapport with a quarterback. He's never does. He's never on the same page. It seems like it's watching the games. He's never really there. And they like Brandon Cooks, and they paid him, which means they really like him. That's the first thing I look for. If a team's willing to pay someone before they've even caught a ball for that team, that means they like him. Look what happened to Devontae Adams. They paid him, even though he's already caught a ball, but they paid him and let go of Jordy Nelson. They were so confident in him. So they're confident they're going to give him the ball. I love Goff this year. In a lot of my best balls, I'm waiting and getting him as my number one. I really like Goff this year, and I absolutely cannot stand the love for Patrick Mahomes at all. I may be the only one.
What's important is whether or not they play the same video games together. So, you saw when Brad Hand got traded, that the first thing Jose Ramirez tweeted out was, hey, you play Mario Kart?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, and he's really good up until the very end, and then he blows it. Sorry, it's a Padres joke. But yeah.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't like Sammy Watkins. I don't like Patrick Mahomes. People are taking him way too high. He came from a college division known for putting up points. He's only played in one game in his career. He threw an interception. Yeah, he had a game-winning drive, but and he's an Andy Reid offense, which scares me even more. So I'm not high on him at all. I have him crossed off my list. I will not be drafting, which means I will not be drafting Sammy Watkins, because if you don't believe in the quarterback, why the hell would you believe in the receiver? So I love Brandon Cooks, and I actually think he's going lower than he should be. So, boom. All right.
I'm picking him up in a lot of best ball drafts.
As you should, because he's gonna go off for some games this year. That whole offense is really scary. So congratulations as a Rams fan.
Thank you.
Okay, number 9. This one's kind of fun too. The craziest fantasy bet you've ever made, and what were the stakes? Like I said earlier with Anthony, the Jay Ajayi. Now we have to get henna tattoos. Thank you. But like switching up jerseys and stuff like that. What's the craziest one you've ever done?
Well, there are a couple that come to mind. Like I had a bet with Brad Evans years ago about a particular running back, and that he would have to get a Wolfman tattoo on his shoulder, and I would have to get a Brad Evans tattoo on the shoulder, but he lost and never got the Wolfman tattoo. So. But the one that paid off that was beautiful was Jeff Erickson had a goatee for like 12 years or 13 years, and we were playing against each other in a fantasy football league, an FSTA league, and if you know anything about me, I can't grow the beard that you have.
Oh no,
the striking beard that you have on there. No. I'm baby faced and doesn't fill in, never would fill in. So we made a bet that I would have to attempt to grow one and wear it to the next FST conference, or he would have to shave his off. So he lost. And when
Okay.
we got to the FSTA conference, he had his shaved off because he's not a welcher, and I grew one anyway.
Oh no. Do you have pictures of
so,
this?
so I had a scruffy, barely in goatee, and he had his shaved off, and it was one of the more funny moments
Oh,
of a wager.
I hope you have a picture of that somewhere. That's fantastic.
I I don't have one, but I hope that Jeff does. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, there's some crazy ones out there. I see people get like real tattoos all the time. Um, like Super Bowl bets and stuff. Haven't gotten I don't have any tattoos myself, and I would never do that, so I would never even make that bet. But man, I've seen some crazy tattoos of some things. I've seen some crazy haircuts. And of course, if the Dodgers win, I will have to dress up like an ass clown. And Rick, I don't even know what an ass clown is, so it's going to be interesting to see what Anthony dresses me up in, if
At this
if
point,
if they win.
we don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it could be anything.
It
I
could be a donkey with a red nose.
It could. It's really up to him. So man, come on, Diamondbacks, you can pull through. It's not looking good. Oh man. Okay, this is the 10th question, and you're through the gauntlet. Okay, this one's not too hard. And going away from fantasy a little bit here, who is in the Super Bowl and who wins?
Patriots Rams
Patriots and
and
who?
the Rams win.
You're such a you're such a homer.
It's the first time I've ever predicted that.
That's
To be
funny.
honest,
I
I just
have
think the defense is now solidified almost
yeah.
completely. The offense is now in a deeper spot. I think Goff is the real deal. I think Gurley's the real deal, and I think the coach is the real deal.
I like him.
So anything short of a Super Bowl appearance is a loss for the Rams, in my opinion.
Yep. And I feel the same way about my Chargers this year. Actually, in one of our shows previously, I also picked them to go to the Super Bowl. At that time, I picked the Eagles to go back but lose to the Chargers. Because the Chargers the same way. The defense, the offense, the quarterback, the running back. Everything's there. As long as they stay healthy. I mean, really, now it could be the Rams-Chargers in the Super Bowl. How crazy
They
would that
might.
be? L.A.
That would be amazing. But they might have to go through Foxborough though. That's the big problem. Is everybody always has to go through Foxborough.
We'll
So.
see this year. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, then the Chargers do not have a good record in Foxborough in the playoffs. That's for sure. Matter of fact, I don't think they've won once in their history. Maybe one. No, I don't think they have won once in Foxborough in the playoffs. So that's not good. But you never know. Anything can happen at the beginning of the year. Everyone starts 0-0, right? Anything can happen.
All right. So do I get to flip the script and ask you a question?
Sure. You can.
What's all the hate on C.J. Anderson?
There's no hate on C.J. Anderson.
Why is nobody drafting him till like the 13th round?
Because I think they're a little afraid of, Cam Newton vultures touchdowns, and B, Christian McCaffrey is there. And I know, C.J. Anderson just came off his first career 1,000-yard season last year. I think he's just over maybe like 1,007 or something like that. So he's coming off a big year. But just with that offense and the way that Cam Newton runs things, the running backs, like even, Jonathan Stewart back in the day, all those big guys that aren't, catch happy, never really seem to get in the end zone. So I think that is his biggest downfall, I think, in this year, especially with Cam Newton being kind of a vulture there. I like him. I don't really feel that Christian McCaffrey is an every down back and will never be. As talented as he is, I just don't think he's big enough. And like you said, taking the hits is kind of going to catch up to him as well. So I'm not high on him. I'm not low on him. I'm not really looking at him. I think when he's around, I'm getting Kerryon Johnson in that area instead. But so why are you so high on C.J. Anderson?
You just take a look and at Jonathan Stewart, who's not all that talented, who had almost 700 yards and 6 touchdowns, and then 850 yards and 9 touchdowns. And so shouldn't C.J. Anderson have, 900 yards and 10 touchdowns? And isn't that worth, he's available in the 16th round right now while I'm drafting. I can't even believe he's still there.
Well, in that case, yeah,
it.
you pick him up, no questions asked. I mean, just for the, that he can have a high season. But I think it's just the factor of the Cam Newton and the Christian McCaffrey. Everyone's so high on Christian McCaffrey, especially in PPR leagues, and most people play PPR leagues now anyways. So, but yeah, 16 round is absolutely insane. If everyone listening, if CJ Anderson's available in a 16 round in your league, pick him up. That's for sure.
You know, Jonathan Stewart had over 3,000 yards in the last 4 years.
He did, and you know what? He's my boy because he's from Oregon, so I do like him. But yeah, you know what?
24 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're kind of selling him on me a little bit now. Again, you're good at that.
And that guy and Jonathan Stewart stinks compared to C.J. Anderson. So, really?
I don't know. You would rather have, well, in their prime, both of them. C.J. Anderson, well, he's what, undrafted from Cal. Then you got Jonathan Stewart. He was drafted from Oregon. I think they're about like the same, really, except C.J. Anderson doesn't. Well, he does have an injury history too. But
C.J. Anderson's 5 years younger, right?
Yeah, that's true. Now I would take C.J. Anderson, but over Stewart for sure. But yeah, I mean, maybe you're selling me on him. There you go. All right, I'll have to put him up. Oh yeah, I have to put him up higher now. Thank you. I got to redo the whole thing.
I finally sold something.
I got to redo the whole thing now. You have any other questions or anything you'd like to ask me before I let you go to bed?
Yeah. Whose baby is that? I'll buy it. Sell. Sorry, Flintstones reference for those older folks listening.
Yes, yeah. At midnight, and it's all the young guns here. Well, you know what? I'm gonna let you go. We got about 9 minutes left here. I have some couple of things I gotta do before I take off tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I look forward to many more of these in the future. Hopefully, you can join the show again, and you had a good time.
Same here. Lots of fun.
Good.
Talk to you later, man.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll talk to you soon, and have a good night and get some sleep already.
Go Ajay.
Yeah. No. Oh man. Well, good. It was great to have Rick on, man. He's real fun people, and one of the great minds and voices in the fantasy industry. And he's on Twitter. You can catch him at RickWolf1, and he's on Facebook as well, the same. And he's just such a great guy, and he's really knowledgeable. Like I said, the Smart System, you can read more about it. Him and Glenn Colton, they have a show every Tuesday night on SiriusXM, and the Smart System really works. I mean, as he said, they've won with it many of times. So check it out on the Fantasy Alarm Draft Guide that we talk about. And also, I said it before, I'll say it again, join the league. The Monday Night Rants, not Fantasy Alarm, Monday Night Rants League. Live draft on August 17th. We still need a few more people. I know Justin's really, really excited. And he also does agree. He just right now agreed on Facebook. He agreed with the Rams and the Chargers. An all LA Super Bowl? Is that possible? I'm intrigued personally. And how good would that be for at least the Chargers, who literally have no fan base at all anymore, compared probably the least amount of fans of any other team since the move to LA, and how they hurt the whole San Diego area and everything. So the Battle of LA and the Super Bowl, it's good for them, good for the whole LA movement, as you would. So one thing I want to talk about too is I have a few minutes left. Like I said, next week we're doing mock drafts. We're going to kind of walk through how we would pick in each position and do like a 4 or 5 rounder, just a small one, just to get your starters in. And how we would go about picking in each position. Now, I love the last position. I just told Rick earlier, I love like the 10th, 11th, or 12th. We could get that Fournette, Melvin Gordon, and I'm high on Gordon. I mean, I like Gordon better than Kareem Hunt. I don't like Kareem Hunt being an Andy Reid called offense. Find me someone who does. I'll buy him a beer because they're going to need it. And so we're going to go through that. If you're in the first position, remember I asked Rick earlier if he were in that first with Le'Veon Bell and Gurley, and you get to the second, Jerick McKinnon's a good offense. Remember, he's trying to go Bell or Gurley and then go McKinnon and then Drake and call it a day, which is smart, you know. If you're the only one who has 3 running backs and they all hit, 3 third-round running backs, you know, in the first 3 rounds, everyone else is wasting their picks on Odell Beckham. Now I wouldn't say like DeAndre Hopkins or Antonio Brown as a waste of pick, because those two guys are studs every week, and they're going to be studs, and they'll put up as many points as any one of those running backs. But Odell Beckham, even Adam Thielen. I like Adam Thielen, but he's going way too high for me. Even though Kirk Cousins is there, and Kirk Cousins likes the type of receiver that Thielen is, There's just a lot of mouths to feed there, and they're going to really give Cook the ball a lot. And I think Rudolph has a really, really good year too, especially a touchdown-dependent tight end who's going to score a lot of touchdowns. So we're going to show you exactly what position and what you should get in that position and what your strategy should be when you get the pick. When you pull it out of a hat or you know you're number 5, you should know, here's what I'm going. Now, number 5, I should be able to go running back, receiver, running back, boom, just lay it out. And if you have that laid out just like that, you're going to dominate your draft. No doubt in my mind. Always think ahead of everybody else. If you think ahead, that's why I've been so successful in my career. I know that's why Rick has been so successful. Everyone at Fantasy Alarm, everyone who listens, everyone out there who has been successful knows you must stay ahead of the competition. So think about that a little bit. Just think about that. And next week on the show, we are going to tell you, boom, how to outline your draft based upon what position you are, and we're going to mock it for you. What else can we do to help you win here, Monday Night Rants, really? If you watch and you listen, you're going to win, period. All right? Well, thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, FA Nation, to my show. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay with me every Monday night all the way through the football season and on to next year. Also, I got more player profile videos coming up on the Draft Guide. More videos myself I'm doing, and more and more and more and more and more. I just want to do so much. So, I'm just doing it just to entertain you and to help you out, because I want everyone to know and just experience the joy of sports and fantasy sports that I do and the people around me that I work with do every single day. With that being said, have a wonderful week, everybody. Thank God baseball is back. And we will catch you next Monday on Monday Night Rants on all the channels here. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. Fantasy Alarm, all over the place. Message me if you have questions you would like me to talk about on the show. I'm always welcome to anything you guys have to say. Troll me. I dare you. All right, guys, we'll catch you next week. And always, always, always remember to spay and neuter your pets. Boom.